What's going on, guys? This is Demian from The Lookout, and it is time to make some wishes. It's time to gather them Dragon Balls and to make some BT25 wish lists. So BT25 spoiler season is hopefully, hardcore copium, hopefully just around the corner. So let's try to predict some things, throw in a couple of wishes, and let's make one really batshit crazy one. But before we begin, a couple of things. First off, we host locals, Masters locals, every Friday, 8 p.m. Central European Time, free entry, proxy legal, open to all regions. So if you wish to play Masters, you can just join our locals. It's always a fun time. Our community is awesome. Speaking of community and community events, for those of you in Poland, so Polish guys, there's gonna be a Masters tournament at PirCon, the big Polish convention. There's gonna be a Masters tournament, and the lucky loser gets free tickets to the next Zenkai Showdown event. Yeah, there's gonna be a Zenkai Showdown event this year. There's gonna be one. So please be patient. Anyway, huge shout out to the Coffee Club, our lovely patrons. These are our $2 and up patrons. They buy us coffee, they keep this crazy content grind going. We're going hard with Masters and Fusion World now. And guys, thanks a lot for your support. If you wish to join the Coffee Club, link to our Patreon is in the description below. And I think that's about everything. Roll the video! As with all of our videos, let's start with the breakdown. So the BT25 spoiler season is almost here. Please be almost here. So we'll go over what do we know so far about BT25. I'm gonna give you my wish list for the set. I'll try to predict the spoiler date. I have an idea when it's gonna be. I mean, like, at least when I would do it, so it's probably not gonna be then. And then we'll jump into the summary, which we'll probably traditionally skip as always. Let's go! Okay, so here's everything that we know so far about BT25. We know that it's gonna be the special 7th anniversary set. So it's not gonna be an anniversary box. We just know that from the producer letter and from the distributor info, this being a commemoration of the 7th anniversary of the game is like a big thing for the set. So it's gonna be a 7th anniversary set. It will feature Shenron in some way. We can tell that from the placeholder art, because placeholder art usually involves either an archetype or a leader or a story arc or something that's gonna be replicated in the set itself. We know that all the leaders are getting alt arts. Not all of them, but some of them are getting alt arts. So we can assume that those which get the alt arts are gonna be the same ones which get a lot of legacy support. There will be 4 secret rares in the set, and there will also be 2 god rares. This is the first time that we have 2 god rares in a set. So yeah. 4 SCRs, 2 gold rares. That's interesting. And the final piece of information is that, as all of you could have assumed, the set will expand on the new Z Unison mechanic. So it's just a continuation of the Z Unison mechanic. Now, when is it gonna come out? Because I haven't made a slide for this, because, yeah, hindsight is a bitch. I believe that it's gonna come out either that the spoilers are gonna come out either this weekend during the PPG event or Monday immediately after the event, because the event is the last regionals for BT24. So it kinda makes sense for the spoilers to start then. But anyway, we'll figure it out. We'll see eventually. Let's jump into the wish list. First thing on my wish list is reboots. So imagine wish list semi as predictions, but I believe that this set, and I want this set, to have reboots of several older leaders, maybe somewhat new engines. Now, here's the logic, right? It's the 7th anniversary set. It's not supposed to do the same thing as the anniversary box, or maybe it is, because anniversary box is gonna come out 3 months later. So, no, around 3 to 4 months later. So it does kind of make sense to have some legacy support, but not everything to be a legacy support. Now, what would make sense to me, at least to me, for a set that commemorates the history of the game, is to reboot some of the older fan favorite leaders or some of the impactful leaders from the game's history and just celebrate the game in that way. Like, for example, we know that Shenron is going to be featured. Maybe we get a reboot of the starter deck Shenron. Maybe it's not gonna be called Shenron Reboot, but it's basically gonna be the same leader, just modernized. SS4 Gogeta is one of the most infamous leaders of all time. His engine is utterly unplayable because the leader is banned, but the leader was so impactful that if I were to reboot something, I would probably be rebooting Gogeta, just based on how impactful it was for a very long period in the game's history. We had a 9-month period, almost a year, where Gogeta was the most dominant deck. So it would make sense to me to do this. It's also a great chance to bring back some unplayable or banned leaders, like Gogeta, Sin, Gamma, Mecha Frieza, these banned leaders. Of course, not all of them are gonna get reboots, but this is an opportunity to bring at least like one of them back. That would be awesome. Wish number 2 is, of course, legacy support. Now, listen, I wanted this set to be just legacy support, but that's not gonna happen. It's definitely not gonna happen, but we will probably get legacy support for, let's say, one leader. We usually get that. So I predict that it's gonna be for more than one leader, but at least one per color. Because if I say one per color, that's basically, it's a guaranteed. It's always like that. So I predict that it's gonna be more than one, at least one, but it's gonna be more than one. So let's kind of up the notch here and let's try to predict which leaders are getting legacy support. So if I were a betting man, I would say these 5. I think it's gonna be Dark Broly. I have a feeling it's gonna be Dark Broly. The red SSB Gogeta, because this one is one of the worst leaders of all time. Like the entire archetype barely works, the leader does absolutely nothing, and whenever he gets support it works better in literally any other deck. King Cold is the green fan favorite leader, which desperately needs some sort of support. For yellow, I've picked Trunks Jita. I don't think that Trunks Jita should get support. I think it's like pretty low locals trash tier deck. Like, I'm sorry, but Trunks Jita hasn't done anything in like 2 years. So it's not a super phenomenal deck anymore, but it is one that Bandai really, really loves. They really love Trunks Jita. Trunks Jita got so much support back in the day, even when it was very, very playable. So I wouldn't be shocked if Trunks Jita got some extra support. And for the blue, this is a wild shot. Blue Bardock. I want Blue Bardock to get support. This is more of my wish than my prediction. I'm pretty sure that Bandai doesn't remember that Blue Bardock exists, despite me trying to make them aware. I don't think that they remember that this thing exists, but we will see. Anyway, if I were a betting man, I would say that these 5 will get new support in the upcoming set. If I get at least 2 out of 5, come back to this video and say like, good job. or something like that, man. I don't know. It's artificial engagement. No. Okay, let's just go to the next thing. Next thing, and probably the thing that everyone was thinking, like, okay, when is this coming? You know that this is coming. It's a 4-cost Z unison for Blue Bojack. Like, it has to happen. It absolutely has to happen. Like, we need a Z unison, or either a Z unison or a unison. But it has to be blue, and it has to cost 4. That's it. Like, we need that, or there's another thing that we can use, an alternative way to awaken on turn 2. Like, maybe Bandai just doesn't want to give us a 4-cost blue unison or a Z unison for Bojack, but then just give him a way to awaken on turn 2 every single game and just start doing his own thing. Just bump him up. Like, awaken on turn 2 and do like something amazing. Like, that would be awesome. Like, that would really help out the deck. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane how long we have been waiting for a new 4-cost unison for this deck to be playable once again. I mean, in theory, it is playable, but it's just Bojack good stuff. Like, no, it's not even good stuff. It's just blue good stuff, and Bojack happens to be the leader. But we need something that's gonna make the archetype playable again. So if there was one thing on this wish list that I wished more than anything to happen, is a 4-cost Z unison for Bojack. This one is both a wish list and a prediction, but hear me out here. So if I was designing this set, if it were up to me, and if Bandai came to me for God knows which reason and said, hey Demian, give us an idea for the 7th anniversary set. And everyone should subscribe to the Lookout, of course. So just don't go into archetypes, just give us a theme for the 7th anniversary. I would say that each color should be tied to one of the shows. Like, that's the best way to celebrate Dragon Ball. Just give something to fan of each show and show that your game over the course of 7 years has incorporated all of these shows, and they have their own fans, and it's a good way to celebrate both Dragon Ball and the card game that's based on it. In the card game that has survived for 7 years now, that's a lot for modern card game standards. So, how would I do this? Well, I can guess if this were to happen, I think it would go like this. Yellow is going to be the OG Dragon Ball, and it's going to get a Shenron leader. So that's going to be yellow. Yellow usually is OG Dragon Ball. Like, it has a couple of OG archetypes. Green would be Dragon Ball Z. And it's probably, if I were a betting man, if green were Dragon Ball Z, it would be the Majin Buu saga again. I would normally say Namek, but we just had Namek, and I don't think that the original is like popular enough for it to be the representation of Dragon Ball Z, so I believe it's gonna be the Majin Buu saga again. No, this one was tricky. Blue, I think, is gonna be GT. Now, GT could have been either blue or red, but blue has slightly more GT than red does. So I believe that blue would be GT, and I think if I were to bet, I think it would be blue Sin Shenron and this is for Gogeta. Something like that. I don't think we would get another blue baby. Nobody gives a crap about Android 17. So it would probably we're taking most iconic ones, right? So it's gonna be Sin or Gogeta. Red would be Dragon Ball Super, likely Tournament of Power, likely Jiren again. Now, I know that I'm rambling a lot, but listen here. There is a thing with licensing. Both games share the same licensing. And if red looks to be the thing for the red in Fusion World looks to be Tournament of Power so far. So a lot of these licenses have been renewed, and we are yet to see Jiren. And what else are you gonna do for for Dragon Ball Super if not Tournament of Power? So we might see Jiren. We might see Red Jiren. And Black would be Dragon Ball Heroes, I have no idea. It could just be like Hearts or something. Likely at least one of these will be true, but I'm really wishing for Shadow Dragons in blue or green. I would love to see Shadow Dragons again. And now comes the insane batshit one. Like, this is what I really, really want to happen. This is like zero logic. This is based on nothing but my hope-induced hardcore copium. And it's my dream scenario that's never gonna happen. Like, no way this is gonna happen. First is reboots of banned cards. Now, I'm very, very vocal about this, and it's one of the things that I would love to run by Bandai, is can we get some of the banned cards back as different versions? Because, listen to me here, it makes sense for this to happen in this set. If you're commemorating the history of the game, some of these banned cards have marked the game for a very, very long time. For example, Gogeta Hero Revived. But Gogeta Hero Revived was the best, it's still the best battle card ever made, but it was the top dog for the first couple of sets. So if you were to commemorate this era of the game, right, you can't bring back Gogeta Hero Revived. You can't do that. But you can reboot it. You can make a similar card with a similar effect just based on this one. Just make it slightly weaker or give it more conditions or something. Next is Vegeta's Lineage. Now, I know that this will not happen. I know that this will not happen. Ever. But it's still my hardcore copium. That one day, maybe. I know it won't, but one day, maybe. Next is insane support for BT17 Piccolo. Specifically BT17. I don't want to see any orange Piccolo nonsense. No. I want to see the good old green and Namekian from Dragon Ball Z get some nice support. So support for BT17 Piccolo, please. And finally, the most important one is justice for Spy Robot. That's it for the video. Let me know in the comments below. What is your BT25 wishlist? What do you hope to see in the next set? Let me know in the comments below. It's always exciting to try to predict things or to read what other players want to see happen in the game. Like, it's exciting. Especially just before the spoiler season, and especially when Bandai says like, hey, this is like an anniversary commemoration set. Like, dude, like anything can happen now. Anything can happen now. So let me know what do you guys want to happen in this set. And while you're here, hit those like and subscribe buttons. Help us get to 6k subs when I'm gonna give away a booster box. This has been Demian from the Lookout, and I'll see all of you in the next video.